Exactly, because this is what this guy is saying, and what Bruce Lipton is saying, and Bruce Lipton is a biologist, is that indeed it actually is all going back to the the childhood, which is the trauma, the shadow, and this is why the true saying was, in order to reach the kingdom, we have to remember when we were children, not become back like children. Remember means to go back to these original experiences, because these experiences would have ripped apart the consciousness underlying the body, the brain. So the disorders of the brain come because of the consciousness being in a state of dis-ease. You see, basically so these disorders are they're not they're not really biological. The biology is just a reflection of what is in the self or the consciousness. So what you find is that if there's a healing at that level of the shadow, which is consciousness, the biology will reflect that.
Yeah.
But the shadow is the problem with the shadow is that we want to go from the ego to the self. And it's not, so you find in religion people saying that Jesus is the only way and you have to accept Jesus to be saved and all of that, which is all a corrupted version of this, and that is that Jesus as a non-religious church figure, but just as one of these, Christ is another word for self, one of these self figures, showed us the next step, and which is the shadow, and you cannot move on without that. And that's the problem now. People want to move away from ego to the self, which is bliss, which is indeed bliss. But by skipping the ego, the shadow, what you get is, and this is what we have been finding, is that you get that the split in the self becomes worse, which opens up a whole new problem. Which we found is that it opens up, like, almost you could say, like the portal to also a kind of a collective spiritual domain, but not the where we need to go. So this blissing out, which is anything that you can use to run away from the shadow, actually aborts the mission from the self and the individual and takes us back to this collective awareness, and opens up a portal to another, what we would call a lower spiritual dimension, which really exposes the person to forces that are not very benign. But yes, so all of these practices are.
So how does one learn about the shadow?
Yeah,
because everybody rejects that per definition.
Per definition.
Even if you know you're like, sometimes you're nice, sometimes, and some people say, no, I'm always happy.
Yeah.
I didn't read it, but I saw a headline that says they had made a study on people that are never depressed.
Exactly. And we have a whole culture set up to medicate us towards happiness or away from the shadow. The whole culture is based on that. But as I said, that was a necessary evil. But now, like, it's almost as if this is everything according to plan, but now we have a little window in time, in history, to graduate to this next step. But if we don't on time, the ego will, the detached ego will destroy the world. So the shadow is the. So how do you know about the shadow? Is that the only way, the only reliable and safe way is to work with the dreams. Why? Because the ego, the conscious mind, is cannot as fully be trusted at this stage. But the dreams will. It's very hard to manipulate the dreams. So the dreams, like, for instance, somebody would go to sleep at night, and if somebody were to be too much in the what I would call the yang, the dream would put them in the yang state.
What's yang?
The yang is the side that wants to be invincible, wants to be strong, wants to be. That's the masculine side, and the yin would be then the feminine side. But towards extremes, you get then that the yang would want to cover up the weakness, and so then at night you would be put in your specific weakness, and then you would wake up and you would either forget your dream or you would medicate yourself back into the yang. But so the dream is constantly. Look, the dream is like the trial. The dream is going to show you that you are off center, and then you need to understand how you're being compensated. And then when you start to understand your shadow, so an example of a shadow would be someone that dreams recurrently that they are lost, they're walking in some city and they get lost and they cannot find their way back to their hotel room. And so someone like that would be normally by day extremely bent on controlling and manipulating everything, and in a dream to put them exactly in the area that they are running from, which would be feeling lost and feeling out of control. So only when we can accept that shadow, and that feeling lost and out of control would, of course, that would go back to the crime site in childhood. So at some point in that person's life, this was the experience that hurt them, and that led to this fragmentation. And when these opposites can be merged, which would be then the work of touching the shadow, then you would get the connection to the self. But this containing of the opposites would have to be also sustained outside of the dreams, and that comes with a whole new stage of how to really get.
Yeah, it's very difficult because once you get into dream analysis, people want to have principles, and then you got to know that these dreams are based on individuals. So for one person, there's a whole different package which is really not applicable to the other person, and everybody has their own story in this whole journey. So it's very hard to find one size fits all.
Yes, and that's why
that's where the ego comes in, right?
Right. That's why the dream work. I've had any amount of people want to use my work with dreams to create some kind of a system or some kind of a model.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work because everybody's unique. So this same template which is, we know what it is, but it will play out with someone in such a unique way that so the only organizing principle for this is what you would call individuation, meaning that the journey of the person, that individual journey. And so you would have to understand that journey to guide someone, and no intellectual model can replace you having made the journey yourself back to the past, back to the crime site, back to that area where you either felt that they abandoned you, they left you, they made fun of you, you were not included. Wherever that place is, you would need to revisit that and really reintegrate that side of you. And then once you have really done that, then you would be able to understand the journey. So it's more, you have to have made the journey.
Yeah, I guess it's not only that understanding the dreams, because then you get the step of, okay, that is your night dream. So what do you do in the day? What did you do in the day before you get that dream?
Exactly.
And how can you now make your reality happen based on your dream analysis? So then you get within is without, which
Right.
is also your daydream your day has to be is reflected in the night, and the night reflects in the day.
Exactly. So the dream is really just a reflection of what's happening in your day.
So that's individuation.
Yes.
If you can like become one person.
That's the word. If the word individual means indivisible, so then you become whole. Individuation means becoming whole, which is actually coming back to the idea of pieces. The beginning of the 2000 years is where the two fishes of yin and yang merge and become the water bearer. Then you get out of the sea of pieces, which is where the fishes swim. And this is why Jesus said that he would make fishermen out of people. The whole idea of the fish would be to fish people and yourself up out of that.
Fish yourself out.
Yes, but out of the division. The division would make the two fishes, and then you would be basically in the sea. The sea would mean not individuated, and then you would have the two sides, the conscious and the unconscious, and then someone would be not aware of the unconscious, and the unconscious is a shadow, which is that side of us that will compensate the other side, which is too strong by day. So yes, so the only way to become aware of this is through self-awareness, that you can realize, okay, today I was being way too, what I would then call yang, too dominant, controlling, or whatever, and then at night I would be placed in the complete opposite. And that, so this would then make me become very aware by day. Okay, what am I doing by day? You see, and that's self-awareness.
Yeah.
And mostly people that are stuck in the ego stage would be, their focus would be completely on the external world, and not on the internal world. But what we're doing with this work is that you are rewiring the whole system.
Yeah.
And the professor is just, look, they're all as it were seeing the light, because this is basically what
I don't think he's seeing the light, but not everybody's seeing the light.
No, but what I'm saying is all of these, look, it's all experience, and it's all consciousness, and it's all observation, and
you have to learn from your mistakes, otherwise you cannot evolve. Right?
Yes, but the point is that, so you will project your shadow outside, and then you will create it unconsciously. And this work is the beginning of the create. So when someone is, most people are like in total denial of what is what is around them is a reflection of their shadow.
They say it's reality.
Yeah,
everybody sees what I see.
Well, they say it's independent reality.
Right.
It's reality. What we think is reality now is basically like the idea that this is something external of me.
Yeah, we're all looking in this fishbowl.
Yes, but real reality would be not something completely different in the beginning. It would just mean that I would realize that it's my creation.